Joe, tell me how you're feeling.
I'm feeling very happy to be back on my road bike and very happy to be off my gravel bike after last week. I'm just to be honest with you, I got to Vancouver on Monday and I was just fed up of riding my gravel bike and more than ready to get on the skinny tires and back to the road bike which I know.
Cool. Like, why? What happened?
Um so a bit of context, last week I was racing in Oregon, west coast of the states. It's a 5 day stage race which suits me down to the ground. Like it's long climbs, it's not very technical descents. It's just if you can make me a perfect gravel stage race, it's pretty close to it. Even has a time trial in the middle. Like it's made for me. Um, but I was just shit. Like I was so bad. Um, day one is kind of where it all started to go wrong. I attacked over to the lead group of three or four, and I was like, oh, I've got good legs. Like I'm doing really good here. And I checked my shoulder. I'm like, oh, it's splitting, like mega. This is going to be a like straight away get some time. About 30 seconds later, I'm in group two. 2 seconds later, I'm at the back of group two into group three. Then I'm in group four. Then I'm in group five. And then an age group, one of like the age group groups catches up with me. I got at the back of that group and I just explode. And that's kind of like the theme of the week. I just kept exploding every day. And it's one of those like, I don't know if my head definitely went as well, but my legs went and my head went. And when your legs and your head go together, it was just like an explosion of awful performance. And yeah, the joke by midweek was that Joe's just here on holiday. Um, but yeah, it was one of those. By the last day when I got dropped, I was like, well, obviously I got dropped. Like, what else is going to happen? It's a far away world from the confidence which I had at the start of the year, where it's like, well, if anything happens, I just ride across to it because I'm that good. This week had almost gone the other, like swung the complete other direction.
Oh, I, I'm enjoying it actually, Joe. I think
I'm
there's
happy you are.
loads of
I,
learning in there. I mean,
I wasn't
what?
enjoying it though. I was just riding off the back by myself, like, wow, I'm miserable, I'm bad at bike riding, and so I'm happy you're enjoying it in this call.
But you could have quit, right? You could have so your legs fall off on day one. And but you didn't. You didn't think. So just for context, for people who like might not have caught the end of our last chat, this is a 5 day gravel stage race where you're camping overnight between stages.
Yeah, well, there's a few things I can go into, even the fact that if you ever do a camping stage race, like buy a sleeping mat before, because I was just like sleeping in a tent with a sleeping bag, which was not ideal. Um, but it was just, yeah, as I say, down to the ground, perfect race for me. Beautiful place, kind of not elevation, but high enough that it starts to make a difference. Um, and yeah, there was just nothing there. And I think I put in our group chat with yourself and John, that this is a very big lesson for next year that I once again, when it comes up again, I need to race less. I need to prepare more because at the minute I've just been going race to race to race, and it's like race, travel, recover, pre-race ride, race, travel, recover, pre-race ride,
Yeah,
which is all well and good for so long, but it just means that you're pretty much just blindfolded, throwing a dart at a dartboard and hoping that you hit the treble 20. Like
yeah,
it works quite a lot of the time, but every now and then you just have an absolute dud and it goes off the board. Um, and that's kind of what happened at Oregon. Because the week before I was fourth at the UCI race, which was categorically a good ride. And then my body just kind of went, nope. And when it's not like football when you're on a bad day, you're still playing football, you've still got a skill. Like you can still
yeah.
go full game and then bang one into the top corner in that 8th minute. If your body isn't working and you're doing a mountain stage race, you're just off the back.
Yeah. Not that there's no skill involved in riding a bike very fast, but you don't get to bring that skill to the table unless the body's there physically. Um,
Exactly. Like the last day, for example, it was only 110K, but it was like a sand pit the whole day. And that day, maybe skill would have got me so far, but I was so cracked by that point that I went for the early break. I went full gas for like the first 5 or 6 minutes to get in the early break. And I was like, oh, the big guys want to win the stage today. Like the guys who usually I'd be happily racing with. They just closed me down and I just went, pew.
yeah.
Like it it was very humbling, to be honest. Very, very humbling. And everyone was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "I don't know what's wrong with me, to be honest."
So why didn't you quit? Why? I'm curious why you didn't quit on day one. Like the camping, the no sleeping mat. It's 5 days. I mean, I guess you know your body, and you know that it's not going to get wildly better on day two after the legs have fallen off on day one. So why didn't you quit?
So I was hoping, to be honest, I was hoping day one was just a blip. Like it happens all the time in stage races. You come in a little bit undercooked or overcooked, and I was like, okay, day two should be decent. Day three is a time trial, which technically you can just do as a rest day. Like you don't need to go full gas, and
Yeah,
then I'll come good day four and five. Um, None of that happened. But then by the time trial, when I realized I was just on a bad week, the logistics of quitting is quite hard, Nick, when you're staying on a campsite.
yeah,
Like you got to get back to Bend, which is like an hour bus drive. And it was just one of those things. I was like, well, if I'm not performing here, if I go back to Bend where we were staying, all I'm going to be doing is training. So I may as well just effectively train here. So
yeah,
on the fourth day, they went straight up this disgusting climb. Like I'd have loved it normally, but I didn't have the legs. And there was a few of us who were out of the GC at this point, like the overall classification. And we just looked at each other and was like, training ride today. And we literally just treated it like a training ride. We stopped at a couple of aid stations. We rode a sensible pace, and it very quickly mindset shifted from being a race week to being a preparation week. And while I'm very tired now, like 5 or 6 days after, I'm glad I didn't quit because it's like it was a good little bit of training load into the next part of the year.
yeah.
And
Awesome. Mm.
it also it's not like at the Royals where I crashed out and Unbound was the week after. Like I don't have any major targets now for a bit of time.
Yeah,
So it's like there's no losing to
yeah,
having a few days there.
yeah. I love what you said about, yeah. I'm thinking how many times people find themselves in that situation. Um, and I love what you said. What you said was it was possible to shift mindset. So you realized, okay, I'm in this situation, but I can adapt now and take some of the benefits from it, which kind of wouldn't be a natural thing for you. Like not you would have a very optimistic mindset, which is why at the end of day one you're thinking, well, it'll probably come good after the time trial on day three. But at some point you shifted mindset and said, right, okay, what can I extract from this? And it's also making me think about, you know, people who aren't racing bikes for a living might want to take a lesson from this. It was not the logistics of quitting was not that easy, and so you had to adapt in a way. And I wonder, can we intentionally put ourselves in situations where the logistics of quitting is not easy? And people talk about, land on the beach and burn the boats. It's that kind of, managing, managing the planning around a goal or a challenge so that quitting is not that easy. Is really nice.
And it's really hard because like how much we talk about like either on these things or internally offline, it's like how much we talk about results not being like important's the wrong word, but not being the be all and end all. Like for me at the end of the day they are. It's
Yeah,
like yes, sometimes I can shift mindset away from results, but still like I'm in the I'm in a results game. Like my goal is always to win and always to podium. And it's one of those things like when you have such a diabolical day or week, which is so diabolical, you're like, what's going on? Like on day one, I blew up like I was at altitude, like my heart rate was so high, but we was 1,000 meters too low for that to happen. I was like, what is happening here? And it just really forces you to like step back and be like, whoa, maybe we're like Unbound wasn't perfect with the rods, but it works. Like it kind of makes sense still. But then stepping back after this, I was going, okay, this is too far. Like I need to. It taught me for next year that there needs to be a plan in place to mitigate something like this happening again. And last year in I raced the UCI in Poland, and it was pretty much the exact same time of year, and my body did the exact same thing. It just I went to the race, I traveled, and first climb I got dropped, which just doesn't happen like usually. And the biggest thing is I like I got carried away from all the racing. Like I need time to train, which is we've spoken about it before, being like
Yeah,
to I don't know, to outcome. There's something about it where sometimes you just need to step back and be like, whoa, time to step back. And I don't mean take 1 week off racing, which is what I did after Unbound. Take a month off racing mid-season and just prepare.
yeah,
Um, which I haven't done. Like I haven't trained since March, which is crazy. Like that's a soundbite in itself. It's
yeah,
now in July, and I haven't trained for 4 months. I've just been going race to race.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, there's something to be said for running at a million miles an hour. It works for so long, and then you run
yeah,
out of breath.
yeah. Yeah. Great reflections. I'm going to provoke you slightly now because, like, what I heard you say is that, the big lesson learned is bouncing from race to race. You need more time to train. Um, so last night you were crit racing. On Sunday you're going on a crazy Red Bull group ride with a DJ truck, and then the Gastown crit in Vancouver. So
And there's actually another race on Sunday. There's also a race, so
so it feels like you might be overplaying your optimistic strength slightly, but I'm going to give you some wriggle room. So tell me what's coming up because it does sound exciting.
yeah. So I travel straight from Oregon up to Vancouver, and I'm back on Rebel Rebellion duty on the road. Um, yeah, I'm once again over racing myself. I'm in a weird contractual place that I have my privateer set up over here, which is all my gravel and a lot of my big personal goals. Then I have Rebellion over here, which is like effectively my day job and also team goals. So it's
Yeah,
trying to figure out how Joe's personal goals mix with Joe's team's goals. And trying to balance those has been very difficult this year. But yeah, we're here in Vancouver for, well, 2 races really. So we raced last night, just a bit of fun, and Concord and Gastown, both downtown Vancouver, both city centre circuits. Gastown, which happens next week at the time of recording, it's the world's only UCI crit, so it's big. It's like a lot of the US teams come up. It's big money. It's a good, it's a real good event. For me personally, it's like my job switches. I go from being this selfish privateer bike racer in Oregon who just wants everything for himself, like I want to win and whatever, to when I'm with Rebellion, my role completely shifts into this teammate role. So while it's pressure to perform in a certain way, it's a completely different
yeah,
mindset. And honestly, it's just getting off the gravel bike. Like I love racing gravel now, and as we'll talk about maybe today, maybe going on, like my calendar next year is 95% gravel. But equally I'm a roadie at heart. So having the not just the mindset change, but the physical bike change from gravel to road, it's a mental refresh and kind of having the opportunity to ride for the boys when you're in a bit of a mental, not dark place, but a mental crap place
yeah,
is nice because it's like my target is to get Al Morrison to 3 laps to go. I get Al to 3 laps to go, then I'm gone.
yeah,
So you really shift what your focus is.
yeah. Nice. I love the idea that if we're in a motivational slump or some stuff has not been going well for us, then a real good way out of it may be to just act in service of something, like the team, like just to get a mental refresh. Yeah, that's
This
nice.
even happened midway through Oregon. I had a lot of friends who were racing, riding for the yellow jersey. And I just said to them, like, I'm useless. Like, I'm not going to get a performance for myself here. But if I can help you and like do a job, then we're all privateers here. Like, we all ride for ourselves. So if I can aid you in any way, then give me a shout and I'll do a job. It's like, yeah, it's not my job. It's like, you
Yeah,
guys aren't on the front of my jersey for me to ride for someone else. But if I'm riding like crap, I may as well
yeah,
make a job for someone. And yeah, I'm kind of learning that you've got to this our March block, the April block, which was just like success, success, success. Like that's not always going to be the case.
yeah,
And it's easy to get carried away with success, but when things are going bad, you've got to find a way to like get out of the hole. And
Yeah.
for me, that seems to be like acts of service. So it's a good
Yeah.
job I can jump into the road team and have four guys chomping at the bit, which I can be like, well, I'm not the force I was at Speed Week riding on the front, but equally I can do you a job, and
Yeah.
whatever that job is, I'll do to the best of my ability.
Yeah. I love that. So when things are not going as well as we hope, um, acting in service of others may be a great way to sort of just polish that resilience. Yeah.
I
Um,
also think, just coming in quickly,
yeah.
you really get carried away and in your own head when something's going wrong.
Yeah.
And like I at Oregon, I kind of stepped back a little bit on the after the time trial. I was like, well, it's not obviously it's not a good place to be in where I am. I'm here to do well, but if you can take a step back and be like, well, it's not going perfectly to plan. What can I get out of this? And even if it is having a good time or say going to help someone else, um, you always get it's always more serious in your own head
Yeah.
than what someone else is thinking. Like someone else, like, oh, Joe's just having a bad week. Cool, he'll be well good at the next race. Whereas me, I'm like, oh, I'm having a bad week. Oh, maybe the next race is bad. Contracts. Oh, next season, and it's just like it's this kind of spiral.
Yeah.
Whereas if
And
you
we,
can be like,
and we all do that, right? You know,
yeah,
people sort of wake up in the middle of the night wondering how they're going to pay the bills and stuff. And it's a great nudge from you that a way to break that sort of mental hamster wheel is just go and be of service. Like just
mm,
find something that you can, where you're not acting for yourself, you're acting for somebody else, and it might just help to break that hamster wheel. That's very cool. I want to ask you about so the Red Bull. I love the idea of a group ride with a DJ truck, but the connection here is that the Gastown Crit, Red Bull's Vancouver headquarters are in on that circuit in Vancouver. So tell me about the Red Bull group ride. Sounds
yeah. So in my role as Rebel Rebellion team manager, there's also a big part of my, I suppose, day job is activations and trying to get us to do cool stuff in all the random cities we end up in. And one of the guys who's guest riding for us at Gastown knows someone at Red Bull Canada, and it's just one of those things where it's like they're on the circuit, we do this thing, and it's just everything came into place. And next week we're doing just like a group ride around Stanley Park, but Red Bull have this Jeep they're bringing with a DJ deck in the back, and it all kind of started to come into place this morning. And for reference, it's Friday morning now, Vancouver time, and this ride's happening in like 72 hours, and we've only just got a route. But it's like it's one of those things where if you'd have told me 2 years ago I'm doing a group ride around Stanley Park in Vancouver with a crit team and Red Bull, and we're like, what are you talking about? Why am I here? Um, but yeah, it's kind of just a chill ride. We're calling it a coffee ride, but instead of coffee, you drink Red Bull
yeah,
and
that's
have a
cool.
good time, see some pretty things, and
Yeah. And
like,
Stanley
yeah,
Park's amazing, right? That'll be quite.
spectacular.
Yeah, it's a long way from Grimsby, Joe.
It's a very long way from Grimsby. Somebody said that to me the other day. We went for a drink after the race to celebrate, and I was like, "Oh, where are you from?" I was like, "Grimsby." It's like, "Grimsby, what are you doing in Vancouver?" I was like, "Well, we're gonna need another drink for that one."
I know, yeah, that's a long story. Now, before we wrap, I do just want to come back to one point you made, which was that you've kind of um, to make your life work right now, being a privateer, pro athlete, you do have a lot on your plate. So, you know, you've got your privateer sort of race schedule, and you've got Red Bull Rebellion. Um,
I
like,
just Red Bull Rebellion. I wish it was Red Bull Rebellion.
sorry, yeah, Rebel Rebellion, Red Bull, Red Bull. Wow, there's something. Yeah, yeah, we should do something there. We could do something cheeky there.
Watch this
um,
space.
so you've got these two things, and I'm imagining, but like you tell me, like what clears that up next year? Like what changes? What has to change? There's a, and I'm thinking at this moment we're going to get our video guy John to splash up like sponsor opportunity in this video.
Yeah, so at the minute, I'm doing way too much. So as you said, I race privateer schedule, all the sponsorship and business management around that. Red Bull Rebellion team manager, like I'm effectively doing the whole team. Then I have a couple of freelance writing clients as well. And I'm also doing every now and then, like I'll pop an article in Cycling Weekly or Allure, and it just means that I never have downtime. Which when you're an athlete, the most important time is downtime because that's when you recover and that's when you improve. And I always get carried away with what I'm doing. It's part of my spotlight is like I see something, I'm like, that's an opportunity, let's run with it. And that kind of happened with Rebellion. And I've got to, or not, I've got to, I am stepping back and seeing what I really, really want to do. And what I really, really want to do is become a world-class gravel racer. So next year, it's hard to say, like it's only July at the minute and contracts aren't signed with all my partners, but next year is like I'm full gas into racing gravel. There'll still be a little bit of work happening on the side because my brain has to do something to keep it stimulated, but it's like I'm all in to become the best gravel racer I can. And the goal is to go back to being effectively a full-time bike racer, not a bike racer who's also working 4 days a week for a lot of other projects. Because while there's an awful lot of satisfaction behind kind of setting up and taking off Rebel Rebellion, equally at 23, it's not what I want to be doing just yet. It's like, come to me in 10 years with a project like Rebellion. It's my dream. But your career is pretty short as a pro cyclist. And I feel my potential, as we showed at the start of the year, is pretty high. Um, but it's like, as I've been quite open on my Substack, it's a numbers game. Like to become full time, you need the budget.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what a lot of my time is shifting to getting spent on into July and August is finding the budget for the remainder of, oh, not the remainder, sorry, for 25,
For next year. Yeah.
26. Because I can have all these grand plans of winning Unbound or winning Oregon or whatever, but it's if you don't have the money,
Yeah.
it's like you can't do anything.
Great. So we're definitely going to put a link in the notes for this episode. Yeah, if you know if anybody's interested in getting behind Joe and just giving him a bit of support to simplify his life so you can get more training in, then we're going to see more results like we saw early season. So yeah, we'll
Yeah,
put a link in for that.
it just to come in quickly, it's really interesting as an athlete. People don't talk about it very often. Like even in the World Tour, people try and hide away from the fact that a lot of the time it is just investment in athletes, and that's I was going to say it's not necessarily cash. Obviously, money is behind almost all investments, but you often see riders go from like team A to team B, and it's like, why are they performing so much better at team B? And it's simply because at team B they have more resource behind them, whether that's like nutrition, finances, like salary or whatever. And you really notice the difference when you're trying to do everything. It's like, oh, if only I could, I don't know, train, not tra it's not even train more. If only I could like have more time.
mm,
And you can balance it all, and a lot of people do, like I have done this year. But if you want to perform at your true like capabilities as an athlete, you can't also have a full-time job. And
yeah.
I think that kind of goes without saying. Like you can't be on the road 200 days a year racing, work a job, and expect to perform against world-class bike riders.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes total sense, Joe. Um, this has been great. Like, honestly, I knew it hadn't gone that great in Oregon, and I was thinking, oh, we're gonna have a catch up, and I don't know what we're going to talk about. But actually, this has been like my favorite so far, I think. So thanks for that. Good luck with Gastown. Enjoy your Red Bull Ribble Rebellion ride around Stanley Park, and we'll catch up. Yeah, in about a week or so, I guess.
Nice one. Thank you very much. Yeah, it'll be good to be back on road race duty.
Yeah. Cheers, Joe. Take care.